All right, seventh grade, let's talk about how to add some details and finishing touches to our slab landscapes. So I added all of my slabs in last time so that you can see all of the different areas of depth, the background, middle ground, and foreground. And honestly, happy with it so far. However, we can bring these to life a little bit further with some details. You might want to reference your sketch for this. What other details and relief elements can we add in order to provide a better idea of what type of landscape exactly we're looking at? Something that I know I want to do, I want to draw in where the clouds are. I want to add a little bit of texture to the mountains. I think I'd also like to add some texture to the water. And I definitely want to add these little rocks and grass onto the foreground. I'm gonna set this over here so I can see it a little bit more easily. So here are some different options that you have for adding details. One, you can sculpt actual items, score and slip them on here for additional relief elements. That's probably what I'm going to do with the rocks or the stones that are in the front right here. Two, you can carve in details in order to add some texture. That is likely what I'm going to do here with the water in order to add some waves. And then three, we're going to learn about something new called slip trailing. I will get to that part in just a moment. I'm going to go ahead and add in some texture and some relief elements, and then I'll check back in with you soon so that we can talk about how to use the slip trailing technique. Okay, so I have done a little bit of carving for texture. I have added some of the rocks in for relief elements. The last thing I want to talk to you about is something called slip trailing. Slip trailing is very cool. You can add some finer details this way. So I have bottles that look like this. If your bottle is empty, you'll just take the cap off. You'll put the opening into a slip bucket, which I will inevitably have in the classroom, squeeze to pull some of the slip in, and then put this back on. Okay, so slip trailing is basically drawing with liquid slip in a very fine line. I'm gonna recommend that you practice first. I'm just going to put a paper towel down. I also want you to keep in mind that while I do my absolute best to mix the slip so it's smooth and fine and doesn't have any big chunks in it, there might, especially if it dried a little bit, there might be a chance that like a large piece of slip comes out. Basically though, if you squeeze this out, you can get a pretty fine line, which can be really nice for adding in some details. So for example, I think I'm going to use this to add a little bit of grass over here by the rocks. I think I might also do this to add a little raised texture instead of only carved texture onto the water. And listen, if a glob of it does come out, just wipe it away. It is super, super easy to fix. Okay, let's do some slip trailing, shall we? So I'm going to, since I did practice, I'm going to draw a couple lines. Watch it not work after I just did all that practice. Oh, there we go. This can be really good for adding in some texture. Your clay cannot be completely dry when you do this. It has to still have some moisture in it, otherwise it's not going to stick on here. So please keep that in mind. You cannot decide to do this after it has already dried a bunch. And don't worry about the differing colors. It's all gonna dry the same, be fired the same, and then you're gonna glaze it anyways. So go ahead and use these different tools at your disposal to add some details in there. I'm really looking forward to how they turn out.